how to stop maladaptive daydreaming at the root. If you are someone that spends hours maladaptive daydreaming without knowing where the time goes, and you feel like nobody understands why you do it, maybe you don't even understand yourself why you keep daydreaming, then this training is for you. First, let's get into the etymology of what maladaptive daydreaming even means. Mal means harmful or not helpful. So it's basically describing something that isn't working in a healthy way for you anymore. Adaptive helps you adjust and survive. It's something that helps you acclimate to your environment, and it helps you cope or function in a healthy way. So when you put it together, maladaptive basically just means a coping strategy that stopped being helpful. So you may be wondering, I do this all of the time, but I don't even know what maladaptive daydreaming is. Maladaptive daydreaming is immersive daydreaming that begins interfering with your real life. The key word here is interfering, because the truth is that we all daydream one way or another, but it gets detrimental when it starts taking hours out of your day, affecting your relationships, your work, your school, or keeping you from being fully present in your life. That's when it becomes maladaptive. Here are some signs of maladaptive daydreaming. Hours disappear. You're pacing around in your room. You have musical triggers, right? You go into fantasy worlds when you're daydreaming, and that makes it hard to focus in real life. And when you do that, reality starts to become less exciting because you're building your own fantasy world in your imagination. I'm going to start off with music and music triggers because I find that that's what a lot of people struggle with the most, and that's what I struggled with the most when I was also maladaptive daydreaming. The number one thing is when you listen to music, music emits a sound, right? And in that sound, that brings forth emotions. And when you have emotions, you begin to get into this imaginative state where you're imagining this fantasy life of yours. And all of this, the conception of it, started from you listening to the music, which was emitting a certain sound and frequency, which then wanted you to feel like this guy, right? In your imagination, daydreaming, oblivious of the obvious, and not necessarily in real life, in the present moment. So you put your headphones on, one song turns into another, and before you know it, you're imagining conversations, relationships, future success, or an entirely different life. And guys, this is very dangerous because you're imagining a different life, but you don't even get to cherish the life that you're living right now. You don't get to have gratitude in the present moment. So you're no longer listening to music. Your mind has now attached a story to it. And this is why when you listen to certain songs and you maladaptive daydream, the certain song, you attach the song to the daydream, right? So you may put on this R&B song and you go back to this specific daydream of that song. So it may be, okay, I put this R&B song on and I'm thinking of me at the beach and me getting rich and me ghosting everybody and living my dream life. So the more music you listen to and the more you daydream with music, the more your brain begins to attach different stories to your daydreams. Why does this even happen, right? Why do I even maladaptive daydream? The first thing you have to know are your triggers. What triggers you to daydream, right? What makes you want to go into that state of daydreaming? Then you have an emotion. After your emotion, you want to escape. And after you escape, you realize that the daydream was just temporary relief. So then your brain wants to repeat the cycle to get that feeling of temporary relief. So let me give you an example. Let's say my trigger is R&B music, right? Since I just used that example. I have a trigger of R&B music. So when I put on Usher, Usher makes me feel sad. He gives me a sad emotion when I listen to his songs. So when I listen to Usher's music, I want to escape. I want to escape my current life, and I want to live my life in the frequencies and in the music that I'm listening to. And when I do that, it makes me escape for a while, and I feel sort of a temporary relief, but then I feel shame and regret because I spent all of my time daydreaming when I could have done something else. And then the cycle repeats. The cycle is really repeating because, let me emphasize this, temporary relief. That is why the cycle repeats, because you're being relieved temporarily. And this is just a tentative coping strategy. This isn't an efficient coping strategy to cure and to help your daydreaming. So, as we know for a lot of things, maladaptive daydreaming is not the root problem. It's a coping strategy, and it's not an efficient coping strategy. A lot of people don't know that they may actually be experiencing loneliness, trying to escape their current reality, stress, trauma, unmet emotional needs, boredom, or anxiety. And all of these can be byproducts to make you want to continue to maladaptive daydream, right? So I do not like my current life, for example. I do not like my current life, and I want to escape my current reality. I want to escape my current reality by maladaptive daydreaming. Or I'm feeling lonely right now. I do not like that person just left me. So I'm feeling lonely. I'm going to maladaptive daydream and think about my life with them. Maladaptive daydreaming again. I'm feeling really stressed out. I had a long day at work, and I'm going to maladaptive daydream and act like I'm on vacation in Cabo and put on my favorite songs and just drift into a fantasy world for 4 hours and wonder where all the time went. And these can go on and on and on for the rest of these, right? So it's not usually the root problem. It's a coping strategy to feel and to heal all of these that we see right here. So the key idea, guys, is your brain isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to protect you. A lot of people think the problem is lack of discipline or self-control, or they tell themselves, and I know you've told yourself this, tomorrow I'm going to stop daydreaming, or I just need more willpower to stop daydreaming. But if you've been saying that for months or even years and nothing has changed, it's probably because you're trying to solve the wrong problem, right? You're trying to solve your maladaptive daydreaming problem, and you're not trying to solve these problems because you want to solve the problem of maladaptive daydreaming, which is okay, but make sure to solve the root first before you attach the coping strategies to it. And I wrote here for you guys that maladaptive daydreaming doesn't usually continue because you enjoy wasting time. I know a lot of you guys do not enjoy wasting your time. Who does? It continues because your brain has learned that daydreaming is a way to cope. Maybe you feel stressed, lonely, anxious, overwhelmed, or dissatisfied with your life. So instead of sitting with those emotions, your mind automatically escapes into a world that feels safer and more exciting or more fulfilling. And for a little while, you feel relief. Only for a little while, you feel the relief, right? And then you feel the shame and regret, and you say, why did I do this? Let me go back and do it again and again and again. Trust me, I know, because I've been there, and you're here because you're trying to get help. And guys, after you do it again and again and again, the daydream ends and you're back in reality, and the work is still there. You know, the work that you abandoned is still there. That project is still there. Your kids are still waiting for you to feed them. The stuff that you have to do still exists. The emotions are still there. And maybe you even feel guilty because hours have passed. That guilt creates even more emotional discomfort, and because your brain has already learned that daydreaming brings temporary relief, it pulls you right back into the same pattern, like how we spoke about previously. So enough about what maladaptive daydreaming is, enough about your triggers and emotions. Let's get into what actually helps with maladaptive daydreaming. You have to build awareness. Let me actually change this. You have to build awareness. Notice when you start daydreaming and what was happening right before it. Build awareness towards your daydreams. Number 2, identifying your triggers. Are they stress, loneliness, boredom, or certain emotions that pull you into daydreaming? Number 3, what are the underlying emotions to the daydream? Instead of just trying to stop the behavior, ask yourself, what am I actually feeling or trying to escape right now in my current reality? Ask yourself those questions. Replace the pattern. Find healthier ways to respond in those moments instead of automatically escaping. What are things that you genuinely enjoy doing that you could supplant the maladaptive daydreaming with? The fifth thing is to create an enjoyable life, because the fundamentals of maladaptive daydreaming is just escapism. You want to escape how you're feeling right now. But if you create a life that you don't always have to flee and escape, you get to find joy in the present moment. Create a life that feels more engaging and meaningful so you're not constantly needing to leave, right? And practice self-compassion. Shame usually keeps the cycle going. The goal isn't to judge yourself every time it happens, it's to become aware and slowly shift how you respond to the daydreaming. The goal of this training wasn't to fix everything today. It was to help you understand what maladaptive daydreaming actually is, why it happens, and what keeps the cycle going. Because after this video, you can see the pattern clearly. You now have a greater sense of awareness. If this video resonated with you and you want more support, I've put together additional resources in my Instagram highlights. This will be under the resources tab in my Instagram highlights, and you can follow me and look at all of these resources that I put together for you at Brielle Bama. And if you feel like you're at a point where you just don't want information, but you actually want help applying this to your life in a deeper, more personal way, you can apply for one-on-one coaching, and the link is also in my Instagram bio at Brielle Bama. Either way, I am so glad you're here, and I hope this helped you feel a little less alone in what you're experiencing. Much love, and I'll see you next time.